We're going through that, but as always, we'll get through this. You know, a lot of times you hear things happen around the rest of the country and around the rest of the world, and sometimes we are somewhat not necessarily insensitive to it, but you know that saying we grew up with, out of sight, out of mind, where sometimes because it's not close to us, even though we have compassion and we care, sometimes it doesn't register until it comes to your back door. Well, all of us in South Florida this weekend, this past week, Wednesday, it came to our back door. It came to our back door. Since in the last 20 years, there have been 291 school shootings around the country. 291. And out of that 291, this was the first one that came to South Florida. So even though we felt for others, this one came to our back door. Many of us have friends that have lost their children. Many of us are in relationship even with some of the survivors. And times like these, children are, it's not just the children who are survivors, the parents are survivors. And the healing process is not something that you can measure and you can just say, this is going to be healed in 3 months, this is going to be healed in 6 months. The sad part of it, some of these people will never be healed. Will never be healed. So our hearts, our prayers goes out to all the families impacted. And sometimes we say the families impacted. It's more than people who are just at that school are impacted. All high schools, all schools, So it's a solemn moment in South Florida and the rest of the country. So this is financial literacy, but we wanted to give our respect and share our condolences to those involved. So this is financial literacy. Come to you every Sunday night, 9 to 10. This is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA, a member of SOFA. SOFA, the Society of Financial Awareness, with one mission to help eradicate financial illiteracy in America, one community at a time. One community at a time. We have a website, financialliteracy.info. Financialliteracy.info. From the website, we have a media page, social media page, especially Facebook. I would encourage you. Tonight's program is going to be a very, very, very interesting program. I would encourage you to link our page, to share with your friends. Tell them they can get on. They can get on. They still have time to get on. Most of the programs, different times we have programs that relate to one set of people or another. Tonight's program is related to everyone, every single person in America. So I would encourage you to get your pen, get your paper, Tell your friends on social media. We have Twitter, Facebook. You can like our page. You can invite. Remember, you don't have to listen on the radio. There's an app, WAVS 1170. There's an app. You can listen on the internet, WAVS1170.com, or you can go to financialliteracy.info, and we have a link from the services tab straight to WAVS 1170. So you can reach us anywhere in the world. Tonight's topic is a continuation of last week. Last week we started talking about the new tax laws. The new tax law that went into effect. Well, it was passed. It was passed. Let me correct that. It was passed on December 20th and it went into effect January 1, 2018. And when a law goes into effect, some things are in effect, some, but it's not possible for everything to be implemented at the same time. So there are things that have not been implemented that, the IRS will have to be working on things. How do you implement this? How do you implement that? But we're going to talk about the things that have been implemented. The two main things we're going to talk about tonight, that's why I say it relates to everyone. Because we have identified that there are some confusion about there, and we're hoping that we're going to clear up some of them tonight. We had a few callers last week who brought this out, whereas there was a lack of understanding. When do you file? Who files? And why do you file? So we want to address that. And in addition to the calls we had last week, I got a call this week from a client that I'm going to share with you. And it's going to shock a lot of you because to know that this is happening. So the two topics we want to emphasize, we're going to go further into the tax law, but the two things we want to talk about are personal exemptions, and standard deductions or itemized deductions. So I said two things, but I named three because standard deductions / itemized deductions. You're going to find if you don't use a standard deduction, you may itemize. If you don't itemize, you may use a standard deduction. So we're going to clear up that confusion also. Why do people use the standard deduction? Why do people use the itemized deduction? So we're going to make reference between 2017 and 2018 because for us to explain to you the new laws, we need to talk about the old ones. Okay? Remember, we're in the studio. 954-792-1170. 954-792-1170. If there's something on your mind related to this topic, give us a call. Let us clear that up for you. And if you don't want to call into the studio, you still have 24/7 access to us. You can call us directly, 754-366-7311. 754-366-7311. You can email us, support@financialliteracy.info. Support@financialliteracy.info. And you can visit us on the web, financialliteracy.info. So as we move along, personal exemption. For 2017, the personal exemption is $4,050. I hope you have gotten your pen and paper because tonight, yes, I've said it every night that we are in Sunday school, but tonight, yes, you're gonna need to take notes. Get your pen, get your paper. You will need to take notes. You're not gonna remember everything I'm saying. So personal exemption, think of the terminology, personal exemption. That means it relates to every person. Every person. It relates to the 1-year-old. It relates to the 100-year-old. Personal exemption. The personal exemption for 2017 is $4,050. $4,050. So if it says every person, so let's use a model. Mom and dad and 2 children. That's 4 people, right? Mom and dad, 2 children. And you can, whatever it is, you can multiply further if it's 3, 4, 5 children, whatever it is. But we're going to use as our model mom and dad and 2 children. That's 4 persons. So if you take personal exemptions of personal exemption of 4,050 times 4, then you're gonna get $16,200. $16,200. That's the personal exemption for 2017. So for those of you, that model that we're creating, that we're looking at, mom and dad with 2 children, for 2017, you would have personal exemption of 16,200. That is gone. For 2018, that is gone. Mom and dad, that is gone. That is gone. So this year, if you have not filed yet, if you have not filed it, or if you have already filed, 2017 is the last time you're going to claim personal exemption until 2025. Yes, this comes back. 2025, this ends. So 2026, the way how it is now, all the changes that were made on December 20th, 2017, starting for tax year 2018, all of those changes revert in 2025. 2025 is the last of it. So it goes back to what it was in 2017. But for now, let's talk about the next 8 years, right? So for 2018, there's no personal exemption. No personal exemption. Make a note of that. Okay? All right. Let's talk about standard deduction and itemized deduction. Okay? For 2017, the standard deduction for a married couple is $12,700. The standard deduction for a married couple, $12,700. And if you can itemize, then you would itemize, but let's follow the number. If the standard deduction was $12,700, it would not make sense to itemize if your deduction is less than $12,700. Because for 2017, if the government is giving you $12,700 and your itemized deduction is less than $12,700, then you would not itemize. You would use the standard deduction because the standard deduction is higher than the itemized deduction. Okay? You with me there? All right. Some good news there. The standard deduction for 2018 has increased from $12,700 for the married couple to $24,000. It's almost double, 24,000. So if we're still talking about mom and dad with these 2 children, this is the model that we are using. So you have 24. So for 2018, you'll have 24,000 in standard deduction. But wait. Don't get too excited yet. Let's talk about this. Because you hear things sometimes, and based on who is listening, based on who is giving the message and what's the purpose of the message, sometimes you may hear something that sounds great until we dissect it. So we are using the example of mom and dad with 2 children. So let's go back to our math now. And we're going to develop it. We're going to talk about the individual, the single person, and we're going to talk about the head of household. But I want to give you a framework with the family of 4. with a family of 4. So just do the multiplication if yours is a family of 5, family of 6. But we're talking about the family of 4 as an example. Mom and dad and 2 kids. So here's the standard deduction that's increasing from 12,700 to 24,000. And yes, you can give a chant and you can say, yippee, that's great. But wait. Don't yippee yet. Remember what I said to you. The personal exemption for mom and dad, it's 4, right? Family of 4. That's 16,000. That's gone. Did that register? So let's use the same formula. So the family of 4 had a personal exemption of 16,200 and a standard deduction of 12,700. Put it on your paper and add it. Don't just take my addition. So 16,200 plus 12,700. So for 2017, that family of 4 who was itemizing, their total personal exemption and their standard deduction would have been 28,900. Let's go back to the math. I'm taking my time because I want you to get this. This is so important. 4 personal exemption, 4,050 each. That's 16,200. That's personal exemption. Standard deduction was 12,700. So the 12,700 plus the 16,200 comes to 28,900. You got that, right? So for 2018, the personal exemption is gone. So that 16,000 is gone. The 12,700 is now 24,000. So ask yourself, which is better? Is 24,000 as a deduction better than 28,900? You do the math. 24,000, 28,900. But yet still on the news, you hear how great it is. You hear how great it is because the standard deduction is doubled. Yes, the standard deduction is doubled, but the personal exemption is gone. Do you see what I'm saying? So I'm just using this example for a family of 4. So what am I trying to say? So for a family of 4, it's a negative. But for different families, it may be different. So this is why I emphasize to you about personal economic model. It is important. It is important to have someone guiding you. But wait. There's something else. All right. I know you're thinking it. Okay, so let me address it. Child tax credit. Child tax credit was $1,000 for 2017. $1,000. That is doubled for 2018. So you can start here. So child tax credit. So let's use that same example now. Let's use the same example. Mom and dad with 2 children. They were getting $2,000 in child tax credit. Next year for 2018, they're going to get $4,000. So that increased by $2,000. But let's go back to our little math again now. So if it increased by $2,000, then we're going to say, well, the 24,000 plus the extra 2,000 is 26,000. Do you see what I'm saying? Is 26,000 better than 28,000? So these are the things I want to bring to the forefront, that just because it may be better for one person, it may not necessarily be better for another person. Okay, so this is where planning comes in. And so you go when you buy your little TurboTax for $29 or $39 and you put that into TurboTax. TurboTax is a good software, but remember, you have many softwares which are good, but you need that personal guidance also. Yes, if your tax return is simple, where it's a single person and you only have a W-2, honestly, in a case like that, in most cases, and if your income is very small, yes, a 1040 easy, you're filing a 1040 easy. Sometimes that may be best that you just do it alone, but it still comes back to planning, because just because someone is single, you're going to say, well, their tax return is simple. Yes, it may be simple for this year, but what happened next year if that person get married, have children, buys a house? Do you see what can happen in 1 year? That person can get married, have children, buy a house. So from 1 year to the next year, it goes from simple to complex. So if your framework was just simple and you're not thinking about the possibility of complex, you find yourself in the next year having all these decisions to make, because now all these three things is going to impact what you do. Married, buying a house, children. Three things happen. Well, it's going to be hard for you to have children in one. Well, not necessarily. You could have a twin. You could have triplets. So yes, you can actually have children in 1 year. So I still encourage you to get the personal economic model. So, all right. So we have established now standard deduction and personal exemption. So here's one of the confusion. Last week, a couple of callers called because they were not sure. So what does all that mean? So look at this situation now. So for 2018, we're going to talk about 2018. 27, no, I think we should still talk about 2017, because I'm going to share an example with you. Because some of you may not have filed yet, and even some of you that have filed, you may need to file an amended return. So let's use the 2017 model before we go to 2018. So, and we're going to use this time now, since we were using the example of a married couple, we don't want the single people to feel bad. So we're going to talk about the single person now. So let's look at the single person. The single person has a standard deduction of $6,350. and a personal exemption of $4,050. So if you look at that, so $6,350 and $4,050, that's $10,400. $10,400. So last week I spoke about that. I says if someone makes less than $10,400, there is no filing requirement. And this is a topic I want to emphasize because it's confusing out there. Filing requirement. What does filing requirement means? It means that because your personal exemption and your standard deduction total $10,400, what the IRS is saying, if your income is less than $10,400, you don't have a filing requirement, because what they're saying is that you're not going to have any tax liability, because if your income is less than the $10,400 and you're going to get to write off $10,400, which is greater than your income, then you have no filing requirement. But you cannot just use that alone. Because remember, you heard me explain to a gentleman last week, because if your filing requirement, if you don't have any filing requirement, and you don't file. Remember though, so here it is now. You don't have a filing requirement, so you're saying you're not going to file. But sometimes that's not the best answer, because remember, you can fix one thing. It's like plumbing. I use the example of plumbing. Sometimes you can plug a leak, and the way how you do it, something else is leaking. So here's a person. Let's look at this model now. The person makes 10,400 for 10 years. All right, just humor me, for 10 years. They didn't have a filing requirement, so they didn't file. And you say, wow, they didn't have to file, so they didn't file. But guess what happened? You see that 10 years that they did not file? There is no proof. There's no proof in the Social Security system that they worked in America. Because what proves that you work? It's not the W-2 that you get that proves that you work. Yes, it's one of it. But the number one proof that you worked is the filing of the tax return. Because when you file the tax return with the Internal Revenue Service or the United States Treasury, the Treasury reports to the Social Security that you worked. And you may say, but I didn't have to file. Yes, but you got to be careful. You didn't have to file because you don't have any tax liability. But filing is necessary so that you'll be eligible for Social Security and Medicare. To get Medicare in this country, you have to work 10 years in this country. So here it is. 10 years you didn't have any filing requirement, so you did not file. And then you put yourself in jeopardy because you're not going to be eligible for Medicare. Oh my gosh, I tell you, every week it's the same. The fastest hour in the week is Sunday nights 9 to 10. It's already halfway through the program and I just sat down. So we're going to break. We're going to pay some bills. And we're going to come right back. So stick and stay with us. We will be right back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. This is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA, a member of SOFA, the Society of Financial Awareness, with one mission to help eradicate financial illiteracy in America and around the world, one community at a time. And I've joined with SOFA to bring it to this community. 3 years ago, FINRA gave us statistics. FINRA is a financial regulatory board. FINRA gave us statistics that 74% of Americans were financially illiterate. That was 3 years ago. So ask yourself, you think that percentage has gone down or gone up? So what we're hoping to do with this program on Waves 1170 is that in this community, we are taking away where we don't want you to be a part of that statistic. We don't want you to be a part of that statistics because you listen to WAVS 1170 on Sunday nights and you check us out. You will get that financial education where you will not fall into that statistics. Tonight we're talking about taxes, the new tax laws. And the first half of the program, what I've discussed with you are the two simplest topic in tax filing. The topic, as complex as you just heard it, are the two simplest topic. The tax code got 80,000 pages, 80,000 plus pages before the new tax law, which the IRS have not written the full implementation yet. So you ask yourself, if I just discuss the two simplest topic to you and they were complex. Ask yourself how many other stuff you're doing that you may be doing wrong. Because you're buying a software. Remember, one of the first thing when there was a saying when the first thing when computer was just coming on board, there was a terminology used. We haven't heard it much lately. Gigo. Gigo. Gigo was Gigo. Garbage in, garbage out. A computer, as smart as a computer is, the computer can only work based on what you put it in. Yeah. It's artificial intelligence. Remember, so I want to bring that to your awareness because I just shared with you filing requirements. Filing requirements is supposed to be one of the simplest topics, but guess why it's not? It's supposed to be. It's not a topic that's been taught. Which of you, when you were going to school, you were taught about filing requirements? No, you graduate from school, or if you didn't graduate from school here, you come to this country and then you hear that you must file. But who taught you about filing requirements? Nobody taught you about filing requirements. So what you learn is what someone says to you. Or basically you put the numbers in the software and the software says this. But a lot of time the software will do something that you put in, but the software does not know, the software does not have the ability to tell you about the exceptions. And your situation may be one of the exceptions. Because look at what I just shared. The last thing we shared before we came back on. Let me give the phone number. 954-792-1170. 954-792-1170. We are in the studio. If you don't want to call us there, you can call us directly. 754-366-7311. 754-366-7311, where you have access to us 24/7. So let's go back to that. So if we're talking about the filing requirements, because I gave you the number. If you earn less than 10,400 for 2017, you don't need to file. You don't need to file. But if you don't file, you gave up your opportunity or your ability to collect Social Security and to have Medicare. Yeah. Okay. Remember I promised you I was going to tell you a story. And I'm going to share this story with you now. It's kind of sad, but let me tell you what's happening. You know, on this program, we bring financial literacy. And I personally have an affinity to seniors. So let's describe when we say seniors on this program, who are we talking about? When we use the term seniors, we're talking about people 62 years and up. You notice I specifically say 62 years and up. I didn't say 62 years old. I purposely didn't say 62 years old. Because what has happened, I have shared the statistic with you that by 2050, there will be 4 million centenarians. 4 million centenarians. 4 million people who are 100 years old are, see, I use the word old. That's for 100 though. I didn't use it for 62. 100 years and older. The longest living person now is a Japanese guy, but with the age is 117. He just surpassed our lady from Jamaica in September. She died in September. She was 117. But this guy from Japan surpassed her now. He's the longest living person, 117. And I'm sharing with you by 2050, you're going to have 4 million people here who are 100 years old. Okay. So what's his story? What does all of that mean? This week, an 82-year-old client called me. 82-year-old. We did some other estate planning stuff. For her. Nothing related to taxes, was estate planning, and to make sure that she will have income for the rest of her life, no matter how long she lives, whether she lives to 100, 117. Basically, her money will never run out. We have established that for her, where she'll never run out of money. But what transpired in the conversation? She said to me that she took her paperwork to the tax preparer to file the 2017 taxes, but she wants us to file the 2018 taxes for her. But because she already submitted the paper for 2017, she's going to let that lady do it. I said to her, what do you mean you submit the paperwork to do your taxes? She said, yes, the lady, she submitted her paperwork to do taxes. I said, but why are you filing? She said, don't I have to file every year? I asked her, do you have income? She said, no, I just have my Social Security. She gets about $2,000 a month for her Social Security. So I said, what other income do you have? She said, I don't have any other income. So I said, why are you filing taxes if you don't have any other income? She said, I thought I had to file. This lady has been retired for 17 years. 17 years, folks. And she's filing taxes every single year for the past 17 years. Remember, I established to you a while ago about filing requirements? This lady, yes, her income, her money that she gets, let's use money that she gets. So she's getting $24,000 a year for Social Security. But she's not earning any income. When you don't earn any income, you don't have to file taxes. Is this registering? So ask yourself this now. This lady is going to this tax preparer for the past 17 years, and she's filing taxes when she didn't have to file. So you ask yourself, here's the two questions that you ask yourself. Did this tax preparer know that the lady not supposed to file, or is the tax preparer filing under pretense and charging this lady for 17 years? You ask yourself that question, because I asked the question. So I told her, ask the tax preparer, why do you have to file? We understand we have a caller on the line, so we're going to go to the caller and we're going to come right back to this topic. Caller, you're on the line. Caller?
Yes, sir. Good night.
Good night. How are you?
A little light for me on reverse mortgage while you're there.
Ah, great question. Do you have a specific question, or you want me to speak in general?
Well, in general, because when you get receiving papers, and reverse mortgage, I'm thinking about it. So
all right.
I don't have no idea what it is all about. So I would like a little light on it.
I'll give you generally, but you can call us because there's some specifics that you may need to know. But I'll sum it up generally.
Yes.
Basically, reverse mortgage is a product that's available. There are three qualifications, namely two. Two qualifications. One is you have to be 62 years old. That's the first qualification, 62 years old. And you have to have equity in your house. If you have equity approximately 60%, that's an average. If you have equity of 60% in your house or more, you are going to be eligible for a reverse mortgage. So that's the first two qualifications: 62 years old and equity. So that means you pass first base. So you're on first base now. So you get on first base because you pass those two qualifications. Then the next question is, how much equity do you have? Because you have more than the 60%. The next part is, how much do you have? And then what happened? You'll get an illustration about how much you are eligible for and so forth. So that's the part where I mentioned with the specific to your situation. So after you pass those qualifications, though, I'm glad you asked this question, because there's a big misconception out there, and it originated prior to 2010. So for people who know about reverse mortgage, if what they know was prior to 2010, they basically knows nothing, because what happened is that the law changed in 2010, where FHA, HUD, the Housing and Urban Development of the United States, that organization took over the regulation of reverse mortgage. Reverse mortgages are now regulated by the government, in the sense that what was happening prior to 2010, seniors were being taken advantage of, where you'll go to one bank or one lender and they'll say to you, we can give you 70%. Another one will say 80%. Another one will say 90%. So here's what was happening, because each bank was giving different percentages. Some seniors got into trouble, in the sense that if they have a high equity of, say, 90%, if the bank give them 90%, it doesn't take much for them to go over the 100, because what is happening, they're taking monies and the interest is being accrued. So in a short period of time, because the loan that they had gotten was 90% of the value, and every month interest is being accrued over a short period of time, then they're gonna owe more money than what the property is worth. They're gonna owe more money, because if you're at 90, that means you're very close to 100. So with the interest being added, so take a person now has this mortgage for 10 years, and interest is being added for 10 years. They are what they're gonna owe, because remember, reverse mortgage, you are not paying back any money. You don't have to make monthly payments. But the interest is being added to the loan. So in 10 years, you could probably owe more money than the property value. So what happened now? What was happening? So people were dying, and here, sometimes the lack of understanding, in the sense that, so the beneficiaries now says, well, ma have a house or grandma has a house, but when they think that they have a house, when that person dies, because the value is less than what's owed, the bank takes the house. The bank takes the house. So people were saying, well, reverse mortgage is crap, because the banks are stealing the houses. But that wasn't so. It was a lack of understanding, and some lenders were more aggressive than some, and they were not very conservative, so they would be giving loan to value of 90%. But since the government has regulated now, if your equity, if you have less than 60% equity in your property, it's going to be very difficult for you to get a reverse mortgage. The average is like 60% loan to value. So that's it in a nutshell. But there are great benefits to reverse mortgage, whereas you can be living and you're not making any payments, and basically you're living off the equity that's in your property, and it can help someone live a better standard of living through the rest of their life. So I'd encourage you, if you have specific question, I would encourage you personally to yours. If you have a general question, I'll address it, but I don't want you to discuss your personal situation on the air. We can address it. You can call me directly, 754 366 7311. 754 366 7311.
All right, thanks.
All right?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for calling. Really appreciate it. So that caller call, it's reverse mortgage is one of the great vehicles that available to people 62 years and older. But it's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. You need to have an understanding. What's the goal? What's your goal with the house? Do you have children you're going to leave the house to? You know, do you have adult children? Is your house going to be sold, or is it going to step down to the generation? These are some of the factors that you have to look at before you consider a reverse mortgage. So it's not a topic where you just read something in the paper and you just go and do it. You need to discuss it with a financial professional. Okay? All right. Back to my little story I was sharing with you. So we are still in the studio, 954-792-1170. So here I was appalled this week. This lady went to file tax return. So I have to tell you the rest of the story. So I asked her, so who is this lady that's filing your taxes? And she's telling me that it's somebody, this person has this position in the church. And I says, listen, I don't know the person. But if the bishop is filing your taxes when you don't have to file, that means it's either the bishop doesn't know or the bishop is cheating you. There's just one of two ways. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's not multiple ways. It's either the person don't know or the person is cheating. So I want to warn seniors, because these are the things that's happening. Seniors are being taken advantage of because they don't know. And all of us, everyone at the sound of my voice, if you're not a senior, you're related to someone who's a senior. It may be your mother, it may be your grandmother. That's why I said to you, it's necessary that we know these things so that we can guide our loved ones. I was appalled, but it is common. So ask yourself, how many seniors who don't have to file taxes? And let me clear it up. Let me let you have the understanding. Social Security. If your income is Social Security income, Social Security in of itself is not taxable. Not taxable. If you get 20,000, 30,000, 36,000, 40,000 for your Social Security, I don't care how much money you get for Social Security. Social Security is not taxable. Not, period, not taxable. But, here's the but, and here's the confusion. If you have other earned income, if you have other income, then Social Security could be taxable. And get your pen out again. Time is up on us. Get your pen, write down this statistic, write down these numbers, because it's important that you know it. I'm going to give you a quick formula so you can check your situation. Okay? Get your pen, get your paper. We're going to go fast with this formula. To calculate Social Security, if Social Security is taxable, you have to use a terminology called provisional income. Provisional income. I did a couple of workshops the other day, and I think in total we had something like 40 something people. Not one person in the room. And when I say 40 something, I mean 40 something couples. So it's probably it's 80 people or something like that. And in that room, nobody, and these were all seniors, these were all people who were retired, getting ready to retire, and none of these people know what provisional income is. Tonight, you're going to know it. So you are now putting yourself in an exclusive position. Provisional income. So here's the definition of provisional income. Provisional income is 50% of your Social Security income. 50% of your Social Security income. So let's go back. If your Social Security income is 20,000, then 50% of that is 10,000. So it's 50% of your provisional income plus your earned income or your ordinary income. That income could be wages, it could be pension, any other income you're getting. So you're going to add that income outside plus 50% of the Social Security. And that's what's called provisional income. So let's put numbers to it. So you earn 30,000. You earn 30,000 outside of your Social Security. You get 20,000 for Social Security. So you take 50% of your Social Security income, which is 10,000, and you plus that 10,000 to 30,000. So your provisional income is 40,000. Okay, here is where Social Security is taxable. If your provisional income totals more than $25,000 for a single person, then 50% of your Social Security will be taxable. Yeah, 50% of the 20,000 will be taxable. And I know it's a complex topic there, but I just want to bring it to your awareness. But if your income is just Social Security by itself, it's not taxable. So if a tax preparer is telling you seniors that you need to file tax return when all your income is Social Security, they are lying or they don't know. Okay? I just want you to know that. This is Financial Literacy. Come to you every Sunday night, 9 to 10, and WAVS 1170. Remember, we have an app, WAVS 1170. You can get it, catch us on the app, whether it's on the Android or the iPhone. You can get the app. You can join us online, WAVS1170.com. Or you can go to financialliteracy.info and we can link you to WAVS so you can catch us. So this is Hubert McIntosh, your CPA, a member of SOFA. Thank you for joining us. Have a great week and we will see you next week.